Interesting.
Hello. Hello, mate. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, mate. I'm just going to hit live now.
Okay, you're a little bit ahead of me.
Well, Nick, you've already started off, haven't you?
Oh, I mean, just in terms of getting going.
Oh, right, okay. I'm
fine.
just...
I've got Baal Predator to paint, Tony. How are you?
all good, mate.
I might need to turn you up a little bit, or turn this music down a little bit. Hold on.
Yeah, I can't see what you're seeing, so I've got no idea how I'm coming across on your channel, and mine's not live yet, so...
Okay.
I'm just in the countdown, as it were.
Sick. Anyone watching on Blood Angels Commander, you guys hear Tony okay?
Hello. Can you hear me?
I mean, I can hear you.
Oh, no, you can hear me.
The question... good evening, Joel. They can hear you, Tony. Podger, good evening. Chrono saying Nathan, Robert White, quite a lot of people here. You guys are always ready for me on Saturday night. I feel like the second I get on, you guys are here. I appreciate it. Tony's also going to be screaming tonight. Basically, the other half.
Get this to work.
I was going to say the other half of the stream on 3 Grots. If you haven't yet subscribed to 3 Grots, you should do that. We'd appreciate it. Let me know in chat what you're working on tonight. I took this list on Wednesday night with Baal Predators and shit and thought to myself, this list will definitely not be serious. I will definitely not be wanting to paint any Baal Predators or use them in a battle. And now I'm like, oh crap, that list with the Baal Predators is actually pretty good.
I genuinely liked that list. I thought it was a good list.
I thought it would be a fun list. What it turned into was a list that just ravaged the Nurgle demons like so hard. I didn't lose anything barely.
No. I mean, Nurgle demons aren't exactly top of the meta, are they? But at the same time...
No, but I mean, did you see the new meta watch? Blood Angels are rock bottom. We had the lowest win rate out of everybody this weekend in Arks of Omen. I did make a few videos like a few weeks ago saying like people don't understand how bad armor contempt removal hurts Blood Angels, and
really, yeah, I did see that.
And I guess Games Workshop didn't understand how bad it hurts us either, because we've gone from being able to like be top of an event to being stone cold bottom.
Yeah, yeah, it is, but. I don't know, I think that the meta needs to adjust, and I reckon a lot of people rocked up at those events with kind of the same list that we saw win the LVO.
Oh, right, yeah.
That just doesn't work. You can't play like that, you're going to lose.
Yeah, that's probably true. I was lucky to play a couple of games before the tournament that I went to with basically the same list, you know, like it was 3 Death Company, 2 Sanguinary Guard, a Sanguinary Ancient. And I played like 2 games and was just like, oh shit, this just doesn't work anymore. Like, because I just took like 1 slight loss and 1 like super heavy loss. So going from like Sanguinary Guard can be sitting on objectives out of cover, holding it, even better if they're on cover, to Sanguinary Guard just don't hold shit.
No.
So that's I was lucky to play a couple of games before that event, but I guess you're right. If people had been running their Nephilim lists to their first Arks of Omen, they're going to get stomped. I guess that's probably why Blood Angels had the lowest score. Frank M is also painting a Baal Predator. Nathan has painting 3 things simultaneously, so I don't actually know if Nathan is human or how many arms he has. But he said he's doing it simultaneously.
Maybe it's batch painting, so it's like if this one's drying, you're doing the other one, or
yeah,
something like that.
What are you working on tonight, Tony?
I'm still working on my Wilhelm Scheney Blood Bowl model.
Oh, cool.
I'm just having a little bit of fun with him at the moment. Yeah, that's it really. It's no real reason. I don't particularly need him for anything. I just thought it was a cool model and wanted to paint him, to be honest.
Yeah, I like to pick cool models to paint as well, but I always seem to fall back into what's going to be the best for competitive play. I'm not a meta chaser.
Oh, you bollocks!
Well, I only play one army. If I was a meta chaser, I would have every army, right?
Yeah, all right, but you certainly chase the meta in your own army.
Yeah, and that's why my painting for I never seem to finish anything. I get 3 colours on them, they're battle ready. I play with them for a little while, then move on to something else, get 3 colours on it, and eventually, years later, I come back to those models and say they've been on 3 colours for far too long. I should finish those because I really.
So it's like what you finish is what you can get done before the meta changes.
Yeah,
and that unit is no longer any good.
Sky Commando's painting Eliminators tonight.
Anymore.
Hordgar is painting Templars.
We've suddenly not seen as many Eliminators since the changes, have we?
No, I mean, I guess they were one of the units.
Everywhere, and then that was that.
I was going to say, anything without an invulnerable save got hit pretty hard with the Armour of Contempt removal. And I guess if they didn't get a points drop, then they just flat out got quite a bit worse, right? So, I think that's what we're probably seeing. Because, like, that's the point I was trying to make in my video a few weeks back, and maybe some people weren't getting it, or some people... I mean, people are allowed to disagree with me. I'm not the be-all and end-all for the voice of Blood Angels, but what I was trying to say was, like, see Sangre Guard, for example. I never really had a problem killing enemies with Sangre Guard, right? Like, you know, I didn't run them with Power Fists, I didn't run them with Infernal Pistols, or I maybe had a couple in the squad. But I never really had a problem killing things with a Sangre Guard. They generally were killy enough for my liking. You know, like if you jump them in next to the Warlord, Chapter Master rerolls or whatever, they were killing things just fine. So by giving them free war gear is great, but doesn't really change the fact that, like, what I was enjoying with Armour of Contempt was that they could survive the fight back. You know, yes, they kill even better now, but the chances of you having a squad or a few guys left to continue the fight in a future turn is gone. And for me, I felt like that was more important than getting a free Infernal Pistol or something like that.
Well, to be honest, it's why I've never really run more than one unit of them. For me, it's kind of they're a counter-attacking unit. You know, that you've got a unit of them, you keep them in reserve till you really need them, then you use them to go and kill the thing that you need them to go and kill. But I never expect them to survive much past that. A bit like Death Company, I suppose.
Yeah, Death Company are definitely even more that now, right? You jump in with the Thunderhammers from an obscuring position and you kill something, and then you almost at that point could just happily lift them off the board, because I don't think I've had a single turn in an Arks of Omen game where they have survived through the enemy's turn. Whereas in Nephilim, there's definitely a few turns that, you know, like a couple of spiked saves, maybe, like, you know, and you've got a few Death Company left, and it can be big, I guess. Mike says he is painting for me tonight, so that's perfect, Mike. I'm desperate for you to finish the commission. Mike is going to send me a Ironclad Dreadnought, and I really yeah, he's had it for a little while, and he has finished the Ironclad. He's just got one other model he's finishing, and I'm really tempted to run the Ironclad in a Stormraven gunship for like, that's what I was thinking my list for the tournament might be. I was like, this is the season of wacky lists. A wacky list would be Blood Angels with an Ironclad Dreadnought inside a Stormraven. That sounds pretty wacky, but the Guilliman list did so well that I'm like, maybe the Guilliman list is my wacky list.
So I've not done the Stormraven. Do you know I don't own a Stormraven? But
really, being such an advocate of Thunderhawk gunships as well, do not own a Stormraven.
Well, I own a Thunderhawk gunship.
Well,
it's kind of like what we're going to do with a Stormraven.
I mean, little and large, right?
But I will get one eventually. But that list would make Mark so happy if you ran that.
Stormraven list. Mike has just submitted.
I was a bit worried. Can you hear John all right on there, mate? Sorry, I was just...
Yeah, no problem.
I could hear you all right.
Clint is doing a Firstborn Custom Captain. Crone says my Stormraven bomb list dropped Eliminators. Mike's going to Tempest of War tournament with all dreadnoughts.
That's a list after my own heart.
If the Predator can find use, you said no. What changed? Someone's asking me, can the Predator find use? Apparently I said no. What changed? Well, I mean, what changed, I guess, was it went down a lot in points.
It's 110 points now. That's what's changed.
And just like, I guess at 110 points, it's kind of just like a little bit of a bullet magnet. I don't think it does much damage. Like, I played it, and its damage because I ran 2 of them in my last game, and the damage wasn't great, but it was enough to be a nuisance. It was enough to be like, hey, you really need to kill this 110 point model. And if they're shooting 110 point toughness 7 armor, then other units that are more important to me, like the other units I had that were more important were probably like Death Company with Thunderhammers, Terminators with Thunderhammers, Sangre Guard with Infernal Pistols, Blade Guards. If they're shooting at the Predators, they're not shooting at any of that other stuff. And I think so I didn't think the Predator's damage was great. I didn't think it was terrible either, but you gotta remember, I'm running Guilliman, which means I get to reroll 1s for all shooting on the Predators. Even though they're not core, I can reroll all hit rolls of 1. And I mean, that alone adds like... I was going to say, so I think it adds about 10% more hits, right?
Yeah.
Because if you think, if you hit on 3s, if you hit on 3s, you were missing, what, 33% of the time? So half of that, 16% of the time, you get to reroll at 66. Yeah, so it's like it's pretty much bang on 10%. So if you have reroll 1s on a Predator, you do 10% more damage. So that's what I was trying to say about that list. Like, so Guilliman basically gave my entire army 10% more damage in combat, in shooting, and then he gave all my deep strike charges, or gave all my charges +2, which is also really strong.
Because that stacks with our normal +1, doesn't it?
Yeah, because at one point on my Bite Captain, I rolled a Snake Eyes, so I got like double 1 for the charge, and I went, hold on a second, I've got +2, I need to finish within an inch, so with a Snake Eyes, I could still move 4.9 inches on the charge, and I was like, I still make it. And Colin was just looking across the table like, what the fuck, that's stupid.
Because the Chaplain Aura doesn't stack, does it? It just gives you
the same +2, yeah.
+1, yeah.
David Smith says the Baal Predator is a great distraction Carnifex. I honestly did not think I would ever, like, so this is the one that I've had for many years. This is the other one that I just made and sprayed on stream like last week. I honestly didn't think there was ever going to be a reason for me to finish that Baal Predator. It sat in a box. The sprue said 2009 on it, so I've literally had it for almost 15 years. And it's just sat in a box, half made, that was like, what's the fucking point in finishing this? Well, I guess now there's a little bit of a point.
Well, I mean, I've got one and I've run it, but I've never run it in anger until recently, where I've thought, actually, this isn't a bad use of points. It's always been one of those ones where I'm going to teach someone to play or whatever, and I want something a bit friendly to run.
I was going to say, yeah,
do you know what I mean? You know,
your friend is playing the game for the first time ever, so you're like, oh, I'll show pity on them and I'll take a Baal Predator.
Oh, you want to do something that's super fluffy.
Yeah.
So it's the Baal Predators coming out and
you also want them to come back
stuff, you know?
as well and play you again, so you don't want to stop them too hard. I get you. Yeah, Baal Predators would have been perfect for that before, I guess.
And unlike you, I paint things because I think they're cool, rather than I paint things because I think they're good.
The Ironclad Dreadnought comes with 2 free Hunter Killer missiles, does it? I didn't realise that. I guess they forgot.
Yeah, I think it does.
They forgot to put the Hunter. I mean, Hunter Killer missiles. I had 2 of them in my game because I had 2 Baal Predators, and each one came with a free Hunter Killer missile. They don't really do anything. I think both of them failed to wound. In the game I just played, where the Baals did okay. So like, that's why I don't pay points for single shot weapons. There's just, so I feel like it's always better to pay points for a weapon you can shoot the whole game long. You know, if you've got 5 points left.
I've never taken a Hunter Killer missile seriously, because they're a total waste of points. The only reason that I've got any at the moment is they're free and there's absolutely no reason not to.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. Great minds think alike.
Absolute garbage.
Yeah.
Cheers, Brandon. I didn't realise that somehow I'd managed to mute John. Maybe it was like a psychological thing that secretly talks too much.
Yeah, no one wants to hear me speak. That's fine.
Apparently, you disappeared from my stream there. As I gently paint orange stripes. I hate freehand. I'm shit at it, but that's why I'm doing it, because I need to get better at this.
Yeah, I was terrible at freehand. One of the things I did recently was try to freehand some big red X's on the side of my impulsor. And it's pretty daunting, you know, but like, I guess you're absolutely right. If you just practice it, every time you do it, next time you do it, it will be better. Because
that's the thing. I've totally got out of the habit of, for want of a better term, kind of display painting. Yeah. And I got totally into how fast can I paint all this stuff, which is great, and that's what my bread and butter is. But I'm trying to relearn some of those kind of more display style skills, and I'm so rusty at taking my time and not just using a load of oils and funny techniques to make it look good in a short amount of time.
Hey Jacob, good evening. Mark is in the chat as well. I gave Mark a crash course in... good evening, Mark, by the way. I gave Mark a crash course in OBS the other night. So at some point, he may stream on the Grot's channel as well. He now knows... I was going to say he knows a little bit about how OBS works, I guess. As much
OBS
as I could teach him
complicated,
in 20 minutes.
I haven't got a clue. It's so powerful.
It is powerful, but yeah. I was trying to show him my scenes, and all my scenes are like giant messes of different cameras and stuff. And I was like, you really want to do your own scene, and you really want to take time in it, and don't copy what I've done.
Mark's in here as well, as is Chrono. I think Chrono's in both of our...
Okay. Pally made a
definitely
stencil.
An accident, Brandon. I've seen people do that. They use them cricut things to like make a really good stencils, and I can see that working really well on vehicles.
It would probably work better with an airbrush, right?
Or stippling. I've had in my head for literally now about a year the idea of doing a video where I take two rhinos or two tanks that are the same, and I will paint it using no airbrush or anything, just with a big fat brush and some stippling techniques. And then I'm going to get somebody else with like my airbrush setup, like a really good one, but doesn't really know what they're doing. And I reckon that I can stipple and dry brush a tank faster than someone who's not like a super good airbrusher could airbrush it.
Oh, well, I would be the guy. I've never used an airbrush.
Because a lot of people get really excited about buying airbrushes, and the other thing they buy, especially, I mean, a good one's a good one, and yeah, they are brilliant once you get the hang of them, but you buy them, it's them 50 quid specials on Amazon. And I reckon you're better off buying some makeup brushes and £49.50's worth of more models. I reckon you'll get a better finish and you'll do it quicker.
Yeah, just like a big cheap makeup brush from Amazon or something.
Yeah.
And just dry brush the hell out of it.
So I reckon that there's a video in sitting down with a stop clock and a complete novice or whatever who, with even given one of these 50 quid airbrushes or whatever, and say, look, here you go, it's all set up for you. I bet I can do it quick with a big brush. Because for a lot of what we do, just stippling it on, even with like your stencils and stuff, it's fine. It can give you a good effect. It can give you it in a decent amount of time. It's not going to give you the same effect. And if you see some of the airbrush stuff, it's amazing. But
I'm always amazed by how accurate some people can be with the airbrush.
Yeah. Oh, me too. I'm doing a little 32mm model at the moment, and I've seen people painting all the regions of it with an airbrush. I can't do that.
No, I can't do that with a brush, dude, let alone an airbrush.
Yeah.
Airbrushes are good, Chrono, for doing base coating and priming and that. Although I still prime with a rattle can where I can because it's just quicker, it's easier, and I haven't got to clean up afterwards.
I'm speaking of rattle cans, for my next rattle cans, I'm going to try this website. Have you heard of it? The Color Forge.
Yeah, I've tried one of them. It was all right.
Was it all right?
I'm not going to say it was. I'm not going to say it was good. I'm going to say it was fine, if that makes sense. It was a perfectly adequate primer, and it's a lot cheaper than GW ones.
Well, that's the thing. It was like £3 cheaper than the GW one, and you get 25% more. And I was like, it's just primer. Normally, I mean, you're just putting paint over the top of it. You know, the primer is long gone, I guess, by the time you get to the model. I was going to be like, if I can get 25% more for like 25% less cost.
Yeah,
I think
and that's
I'm okay.
why I think I bought it because I couldn't get hold of any Chaos Black because it was sold out or something.
I see.
And I thought I'll give this a go, and it was all right. But whether it's telling or not, I have gone back to buying Chaos Black.
Apparently Christopher gets upset at how haphazardly I slap on paint. When I'm doing base coats, Christopher, I don't give a shit about what it looks like because I spend so much time going back and tidying up every line to the nth degree. So when I'm doing base coats, like I'm just doing base coats, like just get the colour on there. I probably put too much paint on and then just spread it all around. Like it doesn't really bother me. If it's too thick, I'll just water it down on the model. I'm very much a battle-ready painter, though, right? Like you're not going to see. I ain't ever winning a Golden Demon.
A lot of your stuff is Battle Ready Plus. Yeah, but I ain't going to win any Golden Demons either, John. And most of us aren't, you know?
So yeah, if
I
I'm
went
putting
to
down...
meet the Cult Paint people, and I was really excited to meet them. And I was just looking at the standard, holding it in my hand, their model next to mine, identical model, and just seeing the difference. It's like, I am never going to be on the same level that you guys are going to be on.
It also depends on how much time you've got, I suppose. Like, I don't have any time these days with the kids.
No, nor do I.
So,
Chrono, it was Colour Forge sprays that John was talking about.
Yeah, I think it's just Colour Forge. Do they have a U in the name? I don't remember.
Don't remember, but they sell them through Element if you're in the UK.
Okay, I know they've just got a website called Colour. If you Google Colour Forge spray paint or Colour Forge paint, you'll probably find it.
TT Combat do a range of them as well, and I haven't tried them, but they might be alright. Some of the TT stuff's pretty good. I've got the whole TT Combat range of paint when that comes out coming off the Kickstarter to try and do a bit of a review, but I don't know how good it's going to be.
I've seen a lot of people say Halford's Primer is good because it's super cheap, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like £6 a can. I've never moved to Halford's Primer.
No, I haven't. It stinks. I don't like the smell.
Does it? Okay. I tend to always prime white. Well, do you know what? Sometimes I prime white. I either prime white or gold, or sometimes I go Mephiston red. So I don't know. I know a lot of people that swear by Halford's Primer. I've just never got round to it myself.
It's cheap, but it does a job. And I think sometimes, with, like you said earlier, with primer, that's all that people really want. The thing for me, though, is the reason I still use GW Black is I'm sure there's probably a better one out there. But I can get it in, there's quite a few GW shops not all that far from me. I've got a little local bookshop in walking distance that stocks it. And for a couple of quid, but I can walk to it, I'll pay the couple of quid, you know?
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said about it being easy to get your hands on, because I always find that you need to spray stuff at random times, or at least I do. And it's always
I always run out just in the middle of when I've got my mind to do something, or I know I've got a bit of free time coming up, and then I'm like, shit, halfway through a spray or something.
DTM as well, thank you so much for your message on the Guilliman list, by the way, because I think the list that I played that had Guilliman in it got so much stronger because of DTM's suggestion. He told me, and it's something that I hadn't really thought about, was like, see the bike captain I typically run. I mean, before I ran him with an Infernal Pistol, because it was like 5 points, right? And I would run him with like other ways of surviving. Well, if you run him with Gift of Foresight, and you give him, let's say, a Combi Melta instead of the Infernal Pistol now, it means you've got, like, the Combi Melta to shoot the Combi Melta, because, you know, having a Melta on a fast-moving captain like that is pretty useful. But in the same turn you shoot the Combi Melta, you can also shoot the bike's guns. So what you can do is you can shoot a quake bolt from the bike's guns. So that is a quake bolt, so that hits on a 2. You can either reroll 1s from Gift of Foresight or reroll 1s because you're next to Guilliman. Yeah. So if you think about this, like, I already said that Guilliman's giving my whole army 10% improvements to their shooting. Well, I'm also getting basically a guaranteed.
So does Guilliman give rerolls then, and reroll 1s to the captain?
He gives it to all Imperium within 12. So your characters, your vehicles, everything. It's huge, man. It's so it's so I guess in shooting it's a 10% damage buff across your whole army. I mean in melee it's the same 10% damage buff, but if you have the captain with the quake bolt, then you have pretty much a guaranteed quake bolt. You know, or it's not a guaranteed quake bolt. Hitting on a 2, re-rolling for free, basically. So you've got this hitting on a 2 quake bolt. That if that goes off 24 inches away, whatever unit in melee is going to be +1 to hit. So stuff like Blade Guard, right? Like, if you normally play your Blade Guard, as you normally do as a Blood Angels player, when they come out of your Impulsor, or however you get them on the tabletop, same as how you would get with your Terminators, they would normally be just like hitting on 3s. I guess Terminator's probably hitting on 4s because they're Thunderhammers, so you'd probably pay the 1 CP for like Fury the First, so they hit on 3s, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's pretty standard. Well, with this free 24-inch quake bolt that kind of already always hits, that means that everything that was previously hitting on 3s was going to be hitting on 2s, and now, as long as you're within 12 of Guilliman, 12 is pretty darn long. You know, like
that's a big radius, isn't it?
It's a huge radius, and Guilliman can just sort of march up the board. One of the turns, I was kind of using the Baal Predators and the Impulsors to like look out Sir him, because he's 9 wounds, so he can't be shot. So he's just marching up the centre of the board, granting this giant aura. And let's say they did kill a Baal Predator, they start shooting at Guilliman. Well, he does have a 3-up in Vun save, right? He's not going to drop quickly. I actually don't even know how many wounds he has, but I'm sure it's like 7 or... Oh, it's 9. Sorry, 9 wounds, yeah? So, yeah, if they do kill the Baal, in one of the turns he was lookout surged by like 2 Baal Predators, and one of the turns he was lookout surged by the Impulsor. I was like, so if they kill that on top, they're then going to have to shift 9 wounds on a 3-up in Vun save. Like, it's going to be pretty tricky to do that in a single turn, I feel like.
It's not going to be... Well, they're going to struggle to do it before you're able to do anything about it. Because you can always... You can apothecary Guilliman, can't you?
No, because he doesn't have the same chapter as... He would need to have He doesn't have the Blood Angels, because the Apothecary heals chapter. So you wouldn't be able to heal Guilliman. But regardless, you just have him marching up the board, so all your melee has suddenly gone from like your Blade Guards coming out your Impulsor. Before, like in every other list I've run Blade Guard, when they come out in Impulsor, they're hitting on 3s, right? Well, now they're just fucking hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s. And it was like, if you just give all my close combat units hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s, like army-wide almost, and then you give all my range shooting 10% damage buff, and then you give all my charges plus 2 inches, so charges from Deep Strike just become so much more reliable, and then finally you get to re-roll morale tests as well. I was like, Guilliman just shores up like an absolute shitload of stuff for Blood Angels, and a few people in the chat were like, John, why don't you just play Ultramarines? And I was like, I don't want to fucking play Ultramarines. I want to play Blood Angels, but I want to hit on 2s, reroll 1s, reroll morale tests, deep strike charge 7 inches. I mean, like, Guilliman is legitimately making my list a lot more scary than it is.
Yeah, I can see that. I did see a few people talking about that in the chat on the Discord, and that's like, oh, well, Guilliman's shit for Ultramarines, he must be shit for Blood Angels. It's like, well, no, he's bringing a different thing to us than what he's bringing for them. We want that +2 to charge. We want those sorts of rerolls that we can't get any other way. Yeah, so someone in our chat, though, has just put the numbers, Mason, what do they mean? Because they're not, I think, because we have a couple of people in here that are painters rather than gamers, and they haven't got a fucking clue what you're talking about, and it's quite funny.
Oh right, okay, yeah. I mean, if you're painting only, then what you should do is you check out one of the live battle reports that we do on the BAC channel one time. I mean, we try and have a laugh with it, right? We don't take it too seriously, but
oh shit, you take it super serious. I remember that game when you were playing with Colin, and he was like, "This guy's mace is sticking out too far, so he can't be hurt."
Oh yeah, okay. We do take it a bit seriously sometimes. We try and have fun though, right?
Oh yeah, definitely have fun. Justice, I haven't got any 30k at the moment. Well, that's not true. I've got some 30k. I've got the rulebook for 30k, and I've got the starter set, but I haven't actually turned it into a 30k army yet or played any. But we've had a few people asking us about it, so I think Mark's bought the rulebook as well. So I think we're going to try and learn how to play 30k. So I think it's 7th, and I did play a lot of 7th. But it's got a few changes that, yeah.
I was going to say, so many people have asked me on BAC if I'm doing 30k, and I was like, I just don't have the time. But if we do a video,
you've probably got the models though, haven't you?
Oh, I've got so many tactical squads and assault squads and firstborn terminators. I could just field it. You're right, yeah.
So it's definitely doable.
Yeah,
but that's what I was going to do.
The time to learn the rules was the only reason that I was kind of holding firm on that, I guess.
And the new models are amazing. Cronin just said that he loves the models, and I absolutely adore them. I was looking at that new wizard. Have you seen the new wizard? I know he's supposed to be a chaos wizard.
Is that the one they just released this week?
Yeah, the one on Thursday. The not a librarian. With a little bit of tweaking, he is a stunning model. I reckon we're going to see a few of those at Golden Demon this year.
Andrew McCartney just says he's brand new to the hobby. Well, thank you, Andrew, for stopping past. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them. If I don't answer them, someone in chat will definitely answer them. You know,
there's a lot of knowledge in the community, and there's a lot of people who think they've got a lot of knowledge that perhaps don't. No, I didn't say that. That'd be a bit mean.
That's me, man. I think I have a lot of knowledge, and people are like, "Did you know, John? What are you talking about?"
Oh, everybody makes fuck ups, don't they?
I mean, me more often than not.
My complete lack of interest in the competitive meta at the moment means that I'm making more than a few, I think, mistakes with it. But I've never been happy with the hobby in that respect by just stopping caring about it. I'm having a lot more fun with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I'm taking a 6-month break from tournaments after this tournament in March. I'm not going to another one until September. Part of it is so that my wife doesn't get annoyed that I'm never at home to help with the kids.
Yeah.
So that is important. But the other part of it is just I think sometimes it's good to have a little bit of a break. I want to play some boarding actions in the time in between because I'm commissioning the boarding actions terrain. So I definitely want to do that.
Mine still hasn't turned up. So I've been using marked out on a bit of paper kind of terrain while I wait for mine to turn up and paint it.
My Arks of Omen book still hasn't turned up. I'm basically a month on.
I was genuinely annoyed about the fact that Angron got announced today. You know, the next Arks of Omen book. That is bonkers. People still haven't got their first one. But then I was in a store earlier. I'm not going to say which one because I'll get in trouble. I'll get people in trouble. And I was talking to the manager there, and he hasn't got a copy of it. He has no idea what the boarding actions were. So the GWHQ were talking to him why aren't you pushing this? Why aren't you playing it in store? It's because I haven't got any fucking rules.
You don't have copies of it? Wow, that's crazy.
He hasn't got a copy of it. And they don't get... You'd have thought they'd get the digital version or whatever, you're on the app. But they don't. So because they haven't got any copies of it, they haven't got it. The other one they haven't got any copy of is the latest chapter approved.
Yeah, that's
so
what I'm waiting
luckily, I managed to get one online myself, pre-ordered, but we have none in the store and we've not had any in. So if I hadn't bought one myself with my own money online, we wouldn't have one in the store to talk to people about.
That's crazy, man. I've got a few questions. Dan says they ordered a Roboute. The problem is including him as an Ox super heavy. You have to take his warlord trait. No, you don't. Not in Arks of Omen, you don't. You just include him in your main detachment. Battlescribe hasn't got it updated, Dan, but you don't need to worry about that. I mean, Battlescribe is not the end-all and be-all for writing lists, right? Some people think it is, but it's really not.
It's full of mistakes, Battlescribe. I don't use it. I use just... To be honest, I tend to just use Excel and a bit of paper.
I mean, you can't make this... You know, you won't hit any stupid Battlescribe limitations using Excel like that, no. That's for sure. What do I think of the Spartan assault tank model? I mean, I like all the super heavy tanks. I own 3 super heavy tanks, and probably eventually will buy more. Yeah.
Did you get that Cerberus out? I remember you have you've got a Cerberus.
Yes, I've got Cerberus. It's like half made, half painted. It never actually hit the table. I thought it was going to be competitive, and I was kind of looking at it, and then
It's not. It's not even a little bit. We knew it wasn't competitive when we made the tier list like 2 years ago, and we're like, yeah, but hang on, you could take 3 Vindicated Laser Destroyers for the cost of this.
Yeah, maybe I just like the idea of it. Sometimes that happens with me. I buy models because I like the idea of them. The new Cerberus, I think it's super cool.
Yeah.
The old horrible kit, though.
Yeah. The old resin one there. Kronos just said he hasn't got his chapter approved. You haven't got your chapter approved yet, have you?
No.
That's fucking bonkers, isn't it?
Battlescribe says I have to use the Warlord trait. Yeah, ignore Battlescribe. You don't need to use the Warlord trait. It's not updated. Sorry, I missed another question. Jacob was asking me about an interview. I think I got a DM from you about an interview. I think we could probably make it happen. You just need to give me a couple of weeks' notice because family and kids and commitments like that. But yeah, we can probably make it happen. Shouldn't be a problem. If it's just like 10 minutes, can do that. No problem. GW has serious supply issues at the moment. For me, it seems like. Do you know what? It's the supply issues are really weird to me, right? Because like GW are the ones that are pushing for this 6-month season. Like I was saying, like 6 months is too quick for a season. Well, 6 months is definitely too quick for a season. If a month after the season's launched, you still can't get the book. I mean, like, you can't have a season that's 6 months and people don't have a book for a month of it, because that's like...
You can't have a season that's 6 months when the store doesn't have the book. So you go in there to talk to the people who run the bloody company, and you can't actually find out anything about it. That's, you know? If they can't even get them to their staff, then it's too quick, isn't it? Anyone could argue about that.
Yeah. Because I'm ready to play Arks of Omen. I mean, I've got an event in a month's time, so I would like to get some games with the book, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... but yeah, I mean, I think it's a season of... the only saving grace, I suppose, is this sort of like wacky season of experimentation where like random lists are probably going to be the strongest. We're going to see some lists win events this season that will never win an event again after the season, I feel like. And maybe the Guilliman list
the best thing ever
that I'm doing is going to be one of them. Maybe.
That Guilliman list is my favourite list I've ever seen you run.
Loads of people have said that, dude, actually.
It's awesome. It's such a fun list.
To see Guilliman in Battlescribe, you have to add an Arks of Omen Ultramarines detachment. That's the only way you're going to see him. He doesn't appear in the Blood Angel section at all yet.
I've got too many paints. Yeah, I'm just trying to find my paint, and I've got far too many. And I'm looking for a really specific one in a box of about 150 paints. So it's going to be really dull if you're looking on my stream at the moment, because all you're seeing is like me looking in a big box, trying to find a bottle of Bering Blue.
No, I think we've all been there on stream before looking for something. I was looking for models the other night on stream. I was like, I got to make a Guilliman conversion that's taller than Helbrecht, because I didn't realise how much. This Librarian Dreadnought that I've... well, it's a Custodes Dreadnought that I converted.
Oh, I remember, yeah. I remember you having him.
I gave him a Firstborn Dreadnought arm. I cut the Custodes arm in half and sort of converted it out.
Yeah.
He's sat on a shelf for a long time, so... but yeah, what's wild to me is I was like, fuck, I gotta put some paints on the Baal Predators, like... I might actually run them.
Nice. I think getting them painted though, just even if you've got them in your... How do you display all your army, John? Or do you just have it packed away in cases?
I have like those storage boxes you get in like B&Q, you know, like that have like multiple drawers of them that stack on top of each other. In the corner of my room, I've got one that's like 15 high, and I stick little stickers on every shelf that says like, this is the Sangre Guard tray, and just put like all the Sangre Guard or all the units in different trays. It inevitably gets mixed up, but that is my...
That's like, less display and more store then, rather than...
Yeah, I don't really have room to display anything, I guess. I could have taken one of the bigger bedrooms in this house. Like when we moved house, I could have taken one of the bigger bedrooms for my hobby, but it felt like a bit of a dick move to be like, hey kid, do you want a tiny little bedroom so I can display my Warhammer, you know?
I'd do that, but that's because I'm a horrible person. Mine are all in my... I've got a couple of display cabinets in the dining room, and then I don't think I'd get away with any more than that and still have a marriage.
Yeah, I know. My wife is very good for the amount of time I spend in hobby. She's very understanding.
Yeah, mine is as well. Because I'm not going to say waste a lot of time, but I do spend a lot of time sitting around painting things.
None of it's a waste.
It's a hobby, isn't it?
John Turner is also still waiting for his chapter approved, so I guess we're not the only ones. Did you get chapter approved? You're still waiting for that. Oh no, you're waiting for Arks of Omen then.
No, I've got that too. I'm waiting for my Arks of Omen terrain.
I was going to say it's the terrain.
I ordered them separately because I'm a cheapskate and I use Loot Room to get stuff because it's a lot cheaper.
Loot Room, sorry?
So
just like another website, is
it? It is, but you have to pay a subscription.
Ah, right, okay, cool.
So you pay $10 a month and then you get really cheap prices. It's about 30% off, sometimes a bit more.
Okay.
So my terrains cost 100 quid. Not even that,
nice.
90 something quid. So as long as you're buying a lot of stuff, and
as long as you're buying something every month. Ah, right, clever.
So we get it. I mean, I should be shilling our Element Games affiliate link, but I haven't got any money, and we have to buy a lot of stuff. So I tend to get it through there.
No, that's fair enough.
And then that saves me quite a bit, to be honest. So like a unit of Sanguinary Guard or something is about £20.
Makes sense.
Which is quite nice.
Yeah, I usually buy... Like, I'm more of an impulsive GW shopper. I'm more impulsive on all my purchases. It's like, I won't buy anything, and then sometimes I just go mental and be like, right, I'll just buy all the things.
Yeah.
So...
I'm sitting next to Khan the Betrayer and a box of Gretchen because I happened to be in a Games Workshop store earlier and they were calling to me.
So you playing World Eaters this, or you just wanted it for fun?
Well, yeah, basically, it's a cool model. I used to play World Eaters. If I had time, then I would consider it. But I haven't played World Eaters since 3rd edition, when the original. They weren't the original. Sorry, they were the regiment kind of style box of Khorne Berserkers. When that was first released in 3rd edition, a 1,500 point army was basically 4 boxes of Khorne Berserkers and Khan the Betrayer.
I do remember when armies...
1,500. Yeah, that was a whole army. So I did it. I bought 4 boxes of Khorne Berserkers and Khan the Betrayer, and then I used to spend every game, because you had rules of frenzy and that you had to go towards the nearest enemy, just running forwards and butchering everything with a chain axe. I had nothing else. That was it. All I did, Khorne Berserkers and Khan.
I do remember when my Blood Angels army was very much. It was very much like my whole army was tactical marines and maybe like a squad of Terminators and a squad of Death Company or something.
Yeah. Well, it was back then was when you had Death Company that at the beginning of the game you had a unit of them, and at the beginning of the game you had to roll for every unit, and any ones meant another person ran off and joined the Death Company.
Yeah, I remember that. It was a fun rule.
It used to get bigger. It was cool. It was fluffy because your Death Company didn't cost anything.
You had the problem of the Baal Predator now.
Fucking hell.
Everybody's got on board with these Baal Predators. I tell you, they're better if you've got Guilliman in your list as well, trust me.
I've seen everybody's got on board with Infiltrators as well, and I've been saying Infiltrators are the best one for like 3 years, so welcome to the party.
To be fair, I was with you for a little while on Infiltrators the best one, and then I moved to Incursors, but I guess you've won us all back now. Infiltrators are indeed probably the best ones.
And it's got nothing to do with the points drop.
Well, I mean, the Helix Gauntlet does help as well, I guess.
Yeah. I never used to use it before. Did you ever use it before?
The Helix Gauntlet, I used it like once or twice when I had 10 points available at the end of a list, and like it usually was pretty decent. So, but usually when you're making a list, you find yourself, you like prioritize things that, you know, like if I had 10 points at the end of the list, I'm probably going double Infernal Pistols. Even though I know the Helix Gauntlet is good and there's value in it, if you've got 10 points left, you're going 2 Sangre Guard could use a couple of Infernal Pistols. You know, it's usually.
See, I'm always cheap, and I never give anything any war gear ever.
Yeah,
so
I know
like
that.
everything is super. I've very rarely found that more war gear is better than more dudes.
Yeah, that's a very, very adequate way of putting it. Yeah. James has just treated himself to the Blood Angels Terminator Assault Box and a Captain with the Relic Blade. Nice, James. I want to buy that another box of those guys, and I want to put a Deathwatch shoulder pad on one of them, like in the Angels of Death animation that's on Warhammer Plus.
Yeah, that'd be wicked.
Because I really liked the look of the Terminators in that show. Did you seen it? Yeah, Tony.
Yeah, I have. I loved it, actually. I know the quality of animation people gave it a bit of stick for, and that's true. But to be honest, the bit that really sold it and made me absolutely get tingles is there's that bit where the Dreadnought comes in, and he's he's referring to the Tech Breeder's little brother. And every time I see that, it just absolutely gives me the tingles. I mean, that's fantastic.
I didn't like the animation. It was quite stylistic, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was the facial animations upset a few people. They said they weren't really very realistic and things, but I think they was all right. I've seen worse. I don't think it was any worse than Astartes. Now, the thing is, everyone always holds Astartes up as amazing, but Astartes is a fan animation, and it is visibly a fan animation. Yeah, some of the bits in like the space scenes are stock assets and things like that. It's a good one, but it is a fan animation, and you can see that this is a proper professionally done piece of work.
Yeah, there's a new season of that coming out now, right? I haven't seen any of it.
Wasn't there like a making of or a trailer or something? I'm sure
there was a trailer for the new season, yeah. But no, I haven't checked it out at all. Yeah, I stopped my Warhammer Plus for a while just because I wasn't using it enough.
Have you really? I've still got mine because I love the Vault.
Yeah, I didn't have mine because if I'm watching stuff, it's battle reports that I watch. And their battle reports were not competitive. I hate to say it.
I don't think that they're very good. Their battle. I don't know why they're on Warhammer Plus. Those battle reports should be on their standard YouTube channel to encourage people to play the game because they're very kind of beginner friendly. This is how you get into it. They were kind of marketing them as like competitive, and they weren't.
Yeah, I think that was the problem. And I think you hit the nail on the head 100%. It's like if I want to watch friendly battle reports, I wouldn't be a subscriber to Warhammer Plus to do it, right? Like noob friend, like Midwinter Minis did like a whole series on like, you know, new player, new armies, 500 point battles. Yeah,
they were really fun. They did the Combat Patrol, whatever they weren't getting started box set kind of tournament, didn't they?
Yeah, they did do
what's the most powerful getting. That was wicked. I really enjoyed that.
So, like, for me, if I'm going to pay a lot of money to watch battle reports, I'd probably watch, like, Tabletop Titans or Vanguard Tactics, because they are doing, like, the highest quality, highly competitive battle reports, right? I think they do that better than anyone else.
The competitive battle reports on Tabletop Tactics, I think they're the ones locked behind the paywall. They're very good. They're the odd one that comes up on YouTube to try and encourage people across. So they tend to put their friendly stuff on YouTube and their more competitive stuff on their own thing.
Yeah,
and some of those are really good actually. I like the way they talk through their decisions and this sort of thing. I learned quite a lot from that.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I felt like when I watched the Blood Angels battle report in Warhammer Plus, that was actually kind of the time I unsubscribed because I was like, this isn't a good Blood Angels art. Like, I mean, like I said, me being the know-it-all that I am on Blood Angels. Or
it
maybe not the know-it-all.
Isn't that the one that had like did it have a big old tank or whatever? I can't remember what it was.
I can't even remember what it was.
Gladiator Reapers and I'm sure it had like a repulsor or something bonkers like that in it because it was all Primaris.
It was all Primaris bar one squad of Sangard, yeah. And I really didn't like the list, and I just thought, you know what, this isn't for me.
Not great, yeah.
So.
I'm doing some of the worst non-metallic metal at the moment. I'm just trying to get roughly how this model is going to look with my idea, and then I want to refine it down later, but it isn't good. You know, when you're looking at it going like, this is not good. This is not reading as metal. This is reading as I don't know, messy stone or something.
This turret's metal that I'm working on right now. It's mad. Do you remember the whole top part of the Baal Predator? Like, the whole turret is metal.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really old Baal Predator then.
Yeah, that would have been
like
that was
replaced with the plastic one, yeah.
I was going to say, this will be a first edition Baal Predator. You can tell as well, because all the edges are chipped, you know, like how the paint always chips off the edges of metal models. I don't even know what... This was model. Probably painted in the old red, like when it was... What was the red? Blood Red, I think it was called?
Yeah, it was just Blood Red, yeah.
Art of War have the top players in the world and explain all their moves. I have watched a couple of Art of War battle reports. Obviously, it was Jack from Art of War who won LVO this year as well. I like Art of War well enough, but I don't think time zones work very well for me. Like, I don't think I could watch their games live very often, because they are obviously in America, and like 6 o'clock in America is bedtime for me. So if they're ever on in the evening, then I just wouldn't be able to watch it. And there's something to be said about watching the battle reports live. I think it is better when it's live, maybe. Maybe that's just me.
I think it can be better. I certainly enjoy watching a live battle report, but I think I watch them for different reasons to you, and I look for different things in the reports that I enjoy as well. You know, I do try and catch some of yours live, but I don't always manage it. And I'll put on a battle report while I'm working the next day, so I'll often catch up on your report the next day while I'm doing some marking or something, you know? Because it's quite good to have in the background, because they're quite slow paced, and that's not a dig, that's just the way you do them, because everything's on camera. It's not an edited down kind of thing, which is great for me, because while you're deciding who you're going to shoot at, I can get a paper marked, if that makes sense, without being too distracted.
Yeah. I'm gonna
it's like the Super Bowl, you don't need to pay too much attention.
Super Bowl is next week, actually, isn't it? Next Sunday, I think, is the Super Bowl. I was looking at that because I thought to myself... I've never watched
it in my life.
Have you never watched the Super Bowl? I always watch till halftime. Because halftime is...
That's about 9 hours long, isn't it, till halftime?
The first half actually goes a lot quicker than the second half for some reason. I think it's because they all start using their timeouts and stuff in the second half.
Yeah. I've caught glimpses of it and things, and it's like there's like 1 minute remaining, and that 1 minute will take half an hour to play, and it just
they do a lot of. It's because they can run out of bounds and then the clock stops and all this nonsense. It's very confusing. But I do enjoy. It
looks more like a drinking man's sport, if that makes sense. Because there's enough time between drives to go up to the bar and get another beer.
Yeah, that's probably true.
It's a bit like F1. You know, you can watch F1, and the only bit you really need to watch is the beginning and the end. The bit in the middle, not a lot's going to be happening, so...
Well, they don't even overtake very often. Yeah, that's true.
No, you've got plenty of time to have a beer, maybe have a little bit of a chat, do the dishes, and then get a pizza before the next bit starts.
Because I always used to watch the first half only, I always put in a bet that would happen, that would be resolved by halftime.
Right,
and I'll tell you the most fun bet you can put on the Super Bowl, and it doesn't happen very often, but some years it does happen, and they usually give you 50 to 1 on it, and I've put 20 quid on it a bunch of times. When they do the opening kickoff, you know, like they kick it right down the field and the guy catches it on like the 20-yard line, if he runs it back for a touchdown, so like he runs past everybody right down the field 80 yards and scores a touchdown on the opening kickoff, they usually put somewhere between 35 and 50 to 1 on that.
Right.
And what it does is it basically means that when that guy catches it for like in the first minute of the game, it's like imagine taking the whole Grand National, you know, like the 10-minute horse race, and putting it into like 5 seconds time, because you just need this guy to run past everyone and score a touchdown. And if he scores it, your 20 quid becomes $1,000. So you're talking like serious money if you can do it. But it has happened maybe like, I want to say in the last like 15 years it's happened like 3 times in the Super Bowl. I'm not entirely sure how many times it's happened in the last 15, but something like that. Like, it does happen every 5 years or so.
So it's worth a bit of excitement at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, but also the amount of times I've put it on where I've been like, "Run you!" Oh, it's over already. It's fun if you want a bet that's cleanly resolved before like too late in the evening, so you can go to sleep and not worry about staying up and watching your bet, then that's the bet to do.
I can see that. Do you know, I've never put a bet on anything in my life.
Do you not? Well,
I've never been in bookies.
Right, well, we're going to have to...
I know. Educate me.
When you come up here, we're going to have to put a bet on a 40k game.
Do they take bets on 40k games?
I mean, we could do a bet between us.
Oh, yeah. We'll do a slap bet.
Adam says he's brand new to 40k. What would be your 500-point list? If you're brand new, you might want to start playing like something like boarding actions, because that's like a 500-point game mode, right?
Yeah, you want to learn the game because you've got a lot less strats and crap that you've got to learn right off the bat.
That's true, yeah. I made a boarding actions list just this week, which is like 500 points, and I bought some Blade Guard veterans. I put down some firstborn Terminators, like Assault Terminators with Thunderhammers. Put down like a random captain. There's loads of ways you could arm a captain. I would probably recommend you get if you're playing Blood Angels, you get a captain with a jump pack and a Thunderhammer. I mean, or on a bike and a Thunderhammer. Both are equally good in my opinion. And then,
well, I wouldn't run a bike in boarding action though.
Oh, sure, you can't run a bike in boarding actions. So and I guess you can't run a jump pack in boarding actions. But yes, you would need a captain. You would need a captain for boarding actions. But if you're gonna want to play regular mode, then
you don't have to run a captain in boarding action. You can run a librarian or a chaplain or something. Especially if you bought one of those starter sets or whatever, where you might get a foot character.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of the starter sets have good foot characters. Yeah, run him.
Like that chaplain that comes. I think he still comes in the starter set for 40k. Well, there's a really nice foot chaplain, and that would be a great character to run as your character for boarding action.
And the other thing you could do as well is you could do no wrong by buying a box of Phobos Marines. Now that is infiltrators or incursors. Both boxes actually give you it's kind of funny, they have both boxes on the GW website, but the contents of the boxes are the same. So if you buy a squad of infiltrators or incursors, you get to make 5 of each.
It's literally the same box listed twice.
Yeah. I don't actually know if they even changed the box art.
No, it's not. It's exactly the same box. They just list it as incursors and then they list it as infiltrators. They just list the whole thing twice. And there's a few things that they do that with.
If you're playing Blood Angels, those units, I've been using those units pretty much in every battle for the last 3+ years. Like, they're always in your battles. They're always useful. You need them to perform actions. You need them to hold objectives. So, Phobos troops.
You can't go wrong with a box of troops, really. If you're starting a new faction, you buy a cool looking character and a box of troops, and then you go from there.
Yeah.
But you get a lot with it. If you get like the starter set for 40k, you can trade off your Necrons to somebody else, and that'll give you enough stuff for a nice quick boarding action to learn the game. And then you can start pissing about buying fancier stuff.
Infiltrators are now the superior choice. Helix Gauntlet and the helmets are the better aesthetic choice. Yeah, I didn't like the Incursor helmets anyway, James. I traded with people to get beaky helmets for all my Incursors because I really sort of hated those half faceplate,
they're super ugly, aren't they?
Half head helmets, whatever the hell you would call them. But,
funny Geordie the Forge visors.
Yeah, that's what they are, aren't they? The heads that the infiltrators get are cool, though. I like them. They're kind of the heads with their little antennas on them. They look very like special operatives or something like that, or like spec ops, I guess you would say. So I purposely did all my infiltrators with black helmets because I actually saw. I know for Blood Angels you normally get like Death Company to wear black helmets, but it was Colin actually did his Ultramarine. He did his Ultramarine infiltrators with black helmets, and I was just looking at them one day, and I mean, he used the contrast paint on them, right? So he spent no time on them at all, and just did contrast black on the helmets. And I was like, dude, these guys look dope. What are they? And he was like, oh, they're my infiltrators. I just put the black helmets on them because they kind of have that like deep strike denial, and they're kind of like special operatives. And I was like, dude, I love this. So I copied him, and I actually assume that most people do infiltrators with yellow helmets, would they, or red helmets, or they just?
I don't know. No, infiltrators. I think are supposed to be red, but I've done mine. Do you remember the old? I've just started redoing them all. Do you remember back in Rogue Trader days, there was that desert camo Blood Angels scheme?
Oh yes, I remember that.
So I've done my, or am in the process of redoing my infiltrators into that.
Okay, cool.
Because I just thought it'd be quite a cool nod to the old Rogue Trader Day colour scheme.
It would be actually, yeah.
And so my infiltrators and my eliminators are all in that kind of desert camo.
Oh, that's cool.
And then I used yellow helmets for incursors because that felt right. But I've used Mark IV helmets for my incursors. For the same reason. The proper ones are fucking horrible.
Yeah, so I used yellow for incursors, yellow for assault intercessors, red for intercessors, and I think I'm doing my heavy intercessors in blue, but I haven't gone anywhere with the heavy intercessors. Like I've just base coated them, but I think I'm gonna do their heads in blue. I think we talked about this.
Yeah, my assault intercessors are red helmets because I know they're officially now yellow, but I'm old and remember fast attack was yellow. But it doesn't make any sense to me that if you pick up your chainsaw, you have to also change the colour of your helmet. It's like, quick serfs, repaint my helmet. I feel like a chainsaw this mission. You know, that seems a bit much for me. I thought they probably wouldn't bother with the repainting if they just want to use a different loadout. I think it's kind of, are assault intercessors a different unit, or are they just intercessors? And sometimes they go assaulting, and sometimes they go shooting.
Yeah, I guess I could see the argument for both. I think the assault intercessors do look good with yellow helmets.
I think they're dope models. I really like them. I'm going to offend some people now because I'm actually drinking alcohol-free beer.
That's okay.
It's a Saturday night and I'm on alcohol-free beer.
I mean, I'm on water, so I can't really judge, right?
Yeah, well, I started the night on tea, but that long ran out.
I had 2 weeks off at Christmas and I really couldn't drink that much because of the... So apart from the one night that we drank on stream, I really didn't drink the rest of the Christmas holidays, which is not like me.
That's not bad, that. Actually, that's all right.
So I drank some of the Brewdog alcohol-free over the holidays just because I felt like... I want to feel like
it's come a long way, isn't it?
I'm having a beer because it's the holidays, even though I've got this broken arm and I definitely should not be drinking every day. And the Brewdog alcohol-free beer isn't great, but it's not bad either.
It's a lot better than they used to. Do you remember Beck's Blue? Did you ever have that?
Yes, I had that
Which
before.
tastes initially not too bad. You're like, oh, that's not too bad. Then this like aftertaste of awful hits you in the face. That just doesn't go away. And I feel like alcohol-free beers come a long way since then.
Since Beck's Blue.
Beck's Blue. This one is Lucky Saint.
Okay, not heard of it.
I think it's quite a big one because we got a free sample with HelloFresh. And, and my wife drank that, and I was a bit upset because I wanted to try it, so she bought me another bottle.
If I was going to build a purely shooting army for fun, what would it look like? I mean, it probably wouldn't be Blood Angels because we aren't a purely shooting army. I'm probably one of the most prominent Blood Angels players that includes a lot of shooting in their list. I include more shooting than most people, I feel like.
You generally play a little bit more balanced than a lot of people do. Yeah.
And the sort of units that I've run are Redemptor Dreadnoughts, Contemptor Dreadnoughts. I obviously
Baal
run
Predators.
the Whirlwind a lot. Now I've run Baal Predators, but I've never run them before. It was very much... Most of my shooting has come around Dreadnoughts recently, but if we go back like 10 years... I was actually in my drawers the other day, like looking at like, you know, with the Arks of Omen points cost, everything has gone down and everything's a bit weird. I was actually looking at what Devastators I have. So I used to have a squad of like 5 Devastators with las guns. And I used to have a squad of Devastators, 5 Devastators with plasma guns, because I knew I didn't have any multi-melta Devastators, because I guess back in the day, well,
they didn't come in the box. You didn't get them, did you?
Well, and also multi-meltas only used to have one shot, right? Like, it was only in like 8th edition they changed them to have 2 shots.
Not even 8th, it was 9th edition they got 2 shots. In 8th they didn't even have that. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so multi-meltas weren't really an option. They weren't really what you needed back in the day. Las cannons were better because they had 72-inch range, and the board was bigger, so you could set your las cannon guys up on a building in cover, and then just shoot across the board every turn. And plasma cannons were good because they had like flat 2 damage, which was really good at killing 2-1 models back in the day as well. So that's what I used to have. Devastators with plasmas, heavy plasmas, and Devastators with las cannons. So I was kind of looking at what I had. So if I was going to do all shooting, it would probably be like Devastators, Dreadnoughts, but I don't really do all shooting anymore. And I don't...
I've done a little bit. I think I take a bit more of a balanced army than you do. I like to have... The way I've always played Blood Angels is that they're a Codex chapter, which means that it's a balanced army, but they've got a little bit better melee than everybody else, so I've got a better counter punch than other people do. So I will tend to take probably... You take about 25%, and I probably take closer to 40% is guns. You know, I only ever run one unit of Sanguinary Guard and things like that, but it's still large numbers of Dreadnoughts. I've run a few other things, like the Sikaran's a bit overcosted, but into some armies it's great. The Sikaran is the main gun on it, the autocannon thing, is the perfect anti-custodes weapon.
Okay, you know what? I'm completely forgetting that I use attack bikes a lot in this this edition and last edition, and also I've used Eradicators a few times as well. So, I mean, all those units can be used in shooting armies. I just don't know if I would recommend you go. My thought is never in a 2,000 point list is Blood Angels. Don't have over 500 points of dedicated shooting. I mean, you can go a little bit higher. Maybe, like, I'm probably okay with what you said, Tony, going like another 10-20% on that, but like don't have more than 50% shooting, or you're just
no. It's about balance, you know, because Mark's always saying, you know, he's looking for units that synergize or get the most out of our special rules. And for me, I look at it as our special rules are the bonus we've got over the baseline of Space Marines. So it's a Space Marine army, but we have a bonus here, rather than everything's built around this kind of I'm going to go in your face and punch you.
Yeah, that's fair enough to see.
So it means that when I do occasionally play more competitive tournaments and that, I have a rough time. But what it also means is I've got no real bad matchups. I don't care who I'm playing against, because everyone I'm playing against is going to be a hard battle, but I've got tools in my toolbox to deal with it. You know, if I'm playing someone who else is all melee, well, I've got a decent number of guns. If I want to hold back and play a more shooty game, I can do that, and I can just use my melee units as a countercharge unit and go for it.
If you go, I was going to say, if you go back I think most of my games back in the day were like third and I started in second, but I played the most time in like third and fourth edition.
Yeah, same.
And in third and fourth edition, when you played Blood Angels, you almost lined up with like, let's say like 2 tactical squads, maybe even 3 tactical squads, because there wasn't such a plethora of options back then.
No, not at all.
And I remember multiple games that what you would do is turn 1, you would move all your tactical squads forward, and you would rapid fire at the enemy. I think there was even a bonus where if you stood still, you would get more shots with the rapid fire. So you stood still. So sometimes you would move forward and shoot, and then in turn 2 you might shoot again. Your death company would just be chilling behind the tactical squads, waiting for them to be charged.
And you'd wait for the enemy to come in nice and close to deal with the fact that you're shooting at them, and then you would smack them in the face with your death company. And that's exactly how I still play.
And I remember a lot of times in turn 3 or something, you might even fall your tactical squads back. So they just move, like literally move away from the enemy for 6 inches and then shoot them again with their bolters. But I mean, back then bolters were like seriously good weapons, I guess, right?
They were never that good, but they weren't bad either. They hit fairly hard.
You had enough
against things
firepower.
like Guard and that. They didn't get a save. But you'd have things like tanks and Devastators and that. You'd have a decent amount of firepower. Because you've got to remember, back in 3rd and 4th, we didn't even have Sanguinary Guard. They weren't in the game.
Yeah. And you could only have 1 squad of Death Company in your army.
I reckon this is controversial. We should go back to that.
One
squad of Death Company and 1 squad of Sanguinary Guard.
I did wonder if
shit hot, really, really good, but limit them to 1 squad.
I did wonder if they would ever do a season, you know, like the rule of 3 is the sort of standard rule. I did wonder if they would do a competitive season where they maybe flip that up a bit. Because
did you see James's tournament he's playing in or running or whatever?
No.
It's called a Highlander tournament.
Okay.
And you're only allowed one of each data sheet.
Okay, cool.
And you get an additional 5 victory points if you bring a unit that nobody else in the tournament has brought.
Okay.
So the idea is to encourage you to bring all the sorts of weird models.
Stuff that doesn't get any game time.
Stuff that doesn't get any game time. And if you bring enough, you can get a decent... I think it's capped, but you can get a decent amount of victory points before you've even started by bringing all the crap that nobody ever plays because it's underpowered.
It's pretty cool, actually.
I think it's wicked. I really want to try and play this style of tournament. I think that sounds a lot of fun. Bring out all of the random, weird Derrideo dreadnoughts and stuff like that.
James is asking, he said he misses the time when the chaplain had to lead the death company. Did it used to be that the chaplain was almost part of the death company unit? I don't remember.
You've got a death company. Yeah, you could have... Because back in those days, you used to attach characters to units.
Oh, that was it, yeah.
And if you didn't have one attached, then you basically had no control over them whatsoever.
I do remember there was an edition where the Death Company had to move towards the closest enemy at all time and charge them, or was that when you didn't have the chaplain attached? That was.
I think you could attach a chaplain to try and gain a modicum of control over them. But that was the same edition where every turn you rolled a dice, and on a 1, that unit had to move towards its nearest opponent, even if it was a tank. Which was shit when you had like Devastators that couldn't move and fire.
I don't remember that.
That was the same time when you... So at the beginning of the game, you'd roll to see who joined the Death Company.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And then during the game, you had to roll a dice to see if you guys would run forward. Because they lost to Bloodlust, basically.
Yeah.
Because that's where the old fluff of all the other chapters put the... they go from Scout Company Devastator to Assault. It's a Scout Devastator Tactical Assault. But Blood Angels is the other way around, and we put all of our new characters become Assault Marines because they're hard to control, and only the most dedicated and veteran of our Marines would get to become Devastators because they could hold on to themselves long enough not to run screaming and actually shoot the guns. I just think it's a fantastic bit of fluff.
Did get some of those old books out at some point and read up on that. It's been far too long.
It's a lot of fun. This was 3rd edition rules, I think, when they did that. But that's when I probably really got into it. I got in 2nd, but like you, I played mostly 3rd, 4th, 5th. I was really serious about the game. 6th, I did a lot of tournaments and that. 7th kind of died out because 7th was such a bloated mess. And also, I was at the age where I was too cool.
You were too cool to play Warhammer, were you?
We were too cool to play Warhammer. I was a student. I was out drinking, playing rugby with the boys. The last thing I was going to be doing was be seen popping down to the local Warhammer shop. And then I got married and realised that, haha, she's stuck with me now. I can go back to playing Warhammer.
Sang says he hasn't played since Rogue Trader. He's slowly getting back into it. Well, welcome back. The hobby is in a much more complete state than it was back in Rogue Trader, that's for sure.
Have you got the Rogue Trader rulebook?
I do not have the Rogue Trader rulebook. They re-released it a few years ago. I have the 2nd edition rulebook.
You can still buy it. If you go to I don't think you can get it online or anything, but if you go to Warhammer World, you can buy the Rogue Trader rulebook. It's on the shelf.
I was going to say, I was at Warhammer Fest in the year before the pandemic, I think, so like 2019 or 2018, and that was around the same time that they had just released it, or they released the re-edition of it, and it was there, so I got to like flick through it, and I was like, I remember reading some of it. You
still can buy it, and it's wicked, because I've got a copy of it.
I've noticed I was going to say, a few people on YouTube now are doing like 2nd edition battle reports and stuff. I was like, that's got to be batshit crazy.
That'd be a lot of fun, wouldn't it?
Probably take a whole day to do a single game.
Well, it probably would, because it was too long, but at least then, a 500-point army back then would consist of a tactical squad and a rhino. And that'd be about it, because they were so expensive back then, your units.
That was before GW realised they could sell my models by making them less points.
Well, you used to play bigger games though, right? You used to play like 3,000 point games, I think. That was quite common, yeah.
But 3,000 points would still probably be about the same number of models as our 2,000 point game.
Yeah. I think 2,000 points now is very much 3,000 points from back in the day, maybe slightly different. Clint says, I love attaching characters to units. Now the unit makes the charge and the character fails and is left open and gets destroyed. Yeah, I don't love that either, to be honest. I
just thought it was thematic that they would lead from the front and that would give that unit a bonus by having a character in there.
Yeah.
Right, there's some of the worst non-metallic metal that I've ever done on this model, and I'm not outrageously proud of that, but I think it looks alright in some areas. It's just, I've done the skull and I've just made a right hash of it.
Good evening, Braden. How are you doing tonight? If anyone's tuning in, I'm streaming with Tony from the Three Grots, from the podcast that we do every week. You missed a pretty fun podcast episode this week, actually, Tony. Me and Mark filmed it without you, so this week it's just 2 grots. So we'll get no one will view it this week because you're the favourite grot, aren't you?
I think that's massively overblown.
Well, it's kind of random.
I'm the rantiest grot lately.
Which is funny because I'm the one that's usually rantiest. The one that usually gets super upset.
Because you keep bringing up competitive and
it's triggering you, is it?
I think it must be. Right, that looks a bit better. I think I've just tried to be a bit too rough with it, and it's ended up looking a little bit too splotchy. I'm just trying to tie it back together again. So it's just not reading as metal, it's reading as lumpy stone.
See what's nice about this super old Baal Predator? The gun barrel is already drilled.
Oh, nice.
Like, it's already got a hole down the middle of the gun barrel. You'd be proud of me. I should have just said I've drilled the barrels, and you'd be like, wow.
Yeah, especially if it was metal as well. I'd be like, fucking hell, John, that was a lot of work.
Yeah. Oh, I never drill barrels. Never.
I told you that when I met Andy Wardle, I was like, do you paint the bottom of a tank? And he's like, of course I don't paint the bottom of a tank. And I was like, thank you, because a waste of fucking time.
Well, apparently I'm the saltiest, not the rantiest.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I say I feel like I do some good rants. We'll have to see what's going to happen with this season, though, because this Arks of Omen season really has me confused.
Well, what's confusing me is the fact that nobody seems to have a copy of this Arks of Omen season. Which
well, I mean, that's
is
not helping.
An issue.
What's got me confused is just like how wild they've been with some of the rules, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the strategic reserves for no CP is wild into some armies. Like you wonder, like we saw this week with the Meta Watch Iron Hands of like a 55% win rate. I was like, yeah, well, of course, if you give one of the most shooty armies in the game the ability to reserve everything so that nothing's at risk until it comes in and shoots the crap out of you, what do you expect to happen? You know, like to me, that's not rocket science. That's what's going to happen if you give one of the shootiest armies a way to protect all their stuff for a turn. So I guess
I've been having fun though with it. I like the Arks of Omen detachment. I really hope that doesn't go away.
Yeah, no, I think that Arks of Omen detachment and some of the limitations they've removed seem really fun. But I guess my question is like, is Iron Hands
it much
just
easier to theme an army?
Stomping over everybody going to be really fun? That's my question. Because Iron Hands are definitely going to be doing some stompy stomp. I'm supposed to be playing Iron Hands this week. I'm going to run the Guilliman list against them again, but like, I feel like I'm definitely not confident.
Well, yeah, I can see that. They are very powerful at the moment. And most importantly, they're a bit boring to play into at the moment, because they're very... and they were last edition. You remember the end of 8th as well, and it was just a bit dull.
They're just a point and shoot army. Their rules are that good where they don't actually need to cast any stratagems or anything. They just need to point and shoot.
They just sit in the middle of the board and don't die, basically. And that's not fun to play with, is it?
No, I mean,
it's not fun to play into, and it's not fun to play with.
But it will win tournaments. It will 100% win tournaments, and typically the people that are going to quote unquote win the tournament aren't worried all that much about, is it fun? I feel like fun and winning tournaments is quite far apart.
I think it can be for some people, and that's genuinely why I've stopped going. I haven't been to any tournaments. I was to say this year, but obviously we're only in the 2nd of February, so it's not that surprising. But I think I only played in a couple last year, if that, and they were only little ones. I've just lost interest in them. The attitude around it has changed, and I don't think it's for the better. It's very much, and also every time somebody says trading, I die a little bit inside.
Because you don't like unit trading, or what?
No, I don't. I genuinely don't. I'm not going to deny for a fact that the way the game is at the moment is this kind of, you put a unit out and it does a thing, then somebody else, they put out their unit and it kills that unit, and then you put out your unit to kill the unit that killed your unit, and this sort of backwards and forwards. It absolutely is happening, but planning to do that just seems so against the spirit of the game. You know, they're supposed to be your guys. You're not supposed to be going, I don't care if all of my dudes die, because I'm just going to put them all out. So I know you do occasionally, but that's supposed to be a tough decision.
That's true.
So it just feels very against the spirit of the game. But it is, you know, who was I watching? Arbitorian was talking about the idea of, if you manage to win your game in 2 turns, you've broken the game.
Yeah, that's true.
And the current tournament game is, how can I break the game more than my opponent manages to break the game?
He said that in the MetaWatch article, didn't he?
Yeah, and someone did, but that's not fun for me. I don't want to break the game, I want to play the game. And that's what trading is. That's because that's literally trying to break the game and turn it into a coin toss. And yeah, it's so against the spirit of it. But yeah, maybe I'm just old.
I think if Games Workshop would need to consciously want to change that, and it goes against them, like making the game, like they want the game to be quicker, so units have to survive less, I guess. So yeah, it's a tough one for them.
It's a funny one, isn't it? But it's definitely influenced. They're going down that route. The competitive scene has always been a very tiny part of 40k since its inception. But the last sort of couple of years, they employed the guy that runs the ITC, and we're seeing the US market become a much more important part of the game, because it was always very EU centric for most of its history. You know, the people who made the game were English. It was designed for English people, and because now the biggest market, of course, is America, they're really shifting, because the tournament scene in America has always been much more important to the game. And they have to shift, because if they want that big money, because there's a big market and lots of people to sell to, they've got to appeal to them. And what appeals to that market is hyper-competitive game, arguably to the expense of the story and the fluff, you know? Before you know it, we'll be looking at it and it will go. Do you remember the old line of, we want to make the best miniatures in the game, in the world? That was their whole thing. We want to make the best miniatures. Not the best game, the best miniatures. That's why they were Citadel Miniatures Company. And that's going. Soon it's going to be, we want to make the best game. And I don't know how much I like that.
Nick's asking what I think of Vanguard veterans with a ton of double Infernal pistols. I guess they're cheap now. That you can, I think you can put a Vanguard.
Cheap, yeah.
You've got a Vanguard veteran with 2 Infernal pistols for how many points with a jump pack?
23 points, something like that. 23, 24 points, maybe. Because they don't pay for Infernal pistols, do they?
No, I don't think they do.
They pay for some weapons, but not those ones. So let's say it's about 24, 25 points. You've got a 12-inch move model that's got 2 pistols that it can fire.
Basically, it's got a 6-inch multi now,
shots.
is what people are trying to use it for, I guess. I don't know if I love pistols on Jump Marines, like going double pistols. But I can see why people would think it's strong. My thought with Infernal Pistols is the amount of times the whole squad isn't in range to shoot all the Infernal Pistols. The guys in the second row are not in range. So I guess that's what you have
rarely take them.
You have to think about, I suppose.
Chucking one in is one thing, but
yeah, I mean it's nice to have a few Infernal Pistols, but
yeah, there's a backup to their main job, which is charging things and stabbing them.
That's true.
I don't think I'd want to turn it into a shooting unit. I've got better shooting units for that with range. Yeah, Eradicators, alright, they're a bit slow, but they're a lot better at than Inferno Pistol.
I was going to say, me bothering you is asking, is Baal Predators the new meta? I don't think they are, but I think they're fieldable. I think they're okay.
I'm going to field. I'm going to try and get a game in tomorrow, and I'm going to field 2 Vindicators again. I haven't done that for a while. Because they're 120 points now. They're toughness 8. They've got a big old gun and a 2-up armor save.
Oh yeah, the Vindicator does have a 2-up armor save. So hold on, do you get the
Siege Shield's free now?
I was going to say the shield is free, so the shield that gives you the extra, the armor is free. Oh, interesting. Yeah. So basically, they're basically the same as they were, because with Armor of Contempt, you probably didn't pay for the shield, so now you pay for the shield the same as they were with Armor of Contempt. Did they come down in points, or did they say the same? Did they?
I don't know if they come down or not. But I think they're 120 or 125 points. But it's a 125 point toughness 8 roadblock. It's got a decent amount of wounds and a decent save. They're a distraction card effects because they don't do a lot of damage, but every now and again it spikes. Yeah, and people don't like getting hit with strength 10 guns.
Sorry, not -6, is it?
Minus
4?
Minus
D6.
3 or 4.
D6, though.
D6 damage, D6 shots. So they're not something you can afford to ignore because just in case they spike, but they're not so damaging that you really want to dedicate your whole army to it. So they're a bit annoying to play against.
I was going to say, so the Vindicator is almost the same as the Baal Predator then, right? Like, it's not going to do all that much, but they have to dedicate something to take it out. And if they leave it be
toughness 8,
on their own head,
they've got to dedicate proper guns to it as well. They can't just kill it with some incidental fire. Yeah.
The only thing that Vindicators are really weak into, I found, is horde armies. Because, you're talking like 3 shots or something.
No, max shots. If it's a horde, isn't it? D6 blast.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, if it's more than 11 models. If it's 10 if it's groups of 10, then they're kind of weak, I guess.
Then you're getting, what, minimum 3, aren't you?
Yeah. And with a 3 up ballistic skill, you're talking like 2 hits, so... Unless you're running Guilliman and then you're re-rolling your ones. Could be useful.
I don't think they're good, but I think that they're another one that's... They're alright. You can have a bit of fun with them.
Okay.
So I'm going to run it. I'm not sure who I'm playing, though. And I think it will do okay. And that's sort of been my experience with them so far, to be honest.
Island Phoenix is saying that he thinks Double Infernal Pistol Vanguard Veterans can actually be a pretty useful tool. And I think they probably can be, but like... I'm trying to think if like a Double Infernal Pistol guy, for example, is better than, let's say, like a Death Company guy with an Infernal Pistol and a Power Sword, right? Because the thing that I always seem to find with like pistols is you have no weight of fire. So, like let's say you're running Death Company 5, what would it be? It would be 5 Infernal Pistols and then the Power Sword. So you know that after you've shot your pistols, you're getting like what? 20 attacks with the Power Swords? It's 5? 25?
5 attacks each guy in it?
5 attacks each guy, yeah. So what's better? 5 Infernal Pistols or
and 25 death companies,
and 25 power swords, or 10 infernal pistols. And I think in most
issue with it.
situations, I feel like I prefer the idea of 25 power swords, because if you're fighting into 1 damage enemies, then infernal pistols are wasted. Also, that many power swords with +1 to wound, you know, like, let's say it's toughness 8 you're fighting into. So let's say you've got 10 infernal pistols, you hit on 3s, right?
Yep.
So that's like, what, 7 hits?
Hit with 6 of them? 6 or 7?
Yeah, you wound on 4s because it's toughness 8. So you've got 3. They make 1 or 2 saves. You know, so really,
Probably
10 infernal pistols, 1 goes through on a good day, 3 go through or something. Whereas, like, when you throw 25 power swords into something and it's +1 to wound, like, there's a lot more saves to take, I feel like.
It's why I'm not a fan of melters. This edition, everyone's been melter happy, but I feel there's quite a few toughness 8 things about, like my Vindicator. And then when you're only wounding half the time with it, they suddenly drop off quite quickly.
Well, Colin ran 2 great and clean ones against me this week, and also 2 great and clean ones against the Iron Hands. And that was a situation where, like, I absolutely smashed Colin with the Blood Angels, but the Iron Hands had a huge problem dropping his great and clean ones, because he can only wound the great and clean ones on 5s with his multi-meltas. And Andrew was basically had to shoot his entire army into 1 great and clean one, because it was like, oh shit, I can only wound the great and clean one with 5s with all my melta weaponry. So that's oh my god, Reziel agrees with me. I need to look outside and see if the moon has turned a different colour. Reziel never agrees with me. So we have agreed that if Reziel agrees with me, then that is it, guys.
We might as well end the stream, mightn't we? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It is infernal pistols and power swords are better than double infernal pistols. You heard it here first. Thanks, Rez. We never we haven't agreed on competitive things recently, I guess. Good to see we're on the same page on something. Not a lot, but something. I think that, I mean, Death Company with power swords are good as well, and they're actually, I just think because Death Company with power swords, there's a lot they're good into, right? Like, I think that's my thing about them. Like, they're good into, I was
more into them when we had we were paying a lot for our Thunderhammers. Now Thunderhammers are cheaper, then I'm not quite so fussed. But because I'm so cheap on a unit, I never used to run more than a couple of Thunderhammers in a unit anyway. But I could run, for the same cost as like another Thunderhammer, I could give everybody else a power sword.
Yeah, I mean, the power sword Infernal Pistol Death Company is actually a very good unit for the like, it's not a survivable unit at all. But if you just want a unit that's going to jump out of cover and trade as you so hate, but as I guess most of us in the competitive scene are okay with, if you just want a unit that will trade up almost every time, that Infernal Pistol Power Sword Death Company will trade up so well at 115 points, I think they cost now.
Yeah. They'll easily make their points back.
Yeah, every single time.
And that's what you're looking to do. Don't get me wrong, I do understand the logic and the importance of trading in the competitive scene. I just don't like it from a fluff and a story point of view, and that is probably more important than playing to the absolute best of the meta at the moment for me.
The double Infernal Pistol guys still get like 4 attacks. Yeah, I mean, I guess
but 4 attacks at AP nothing.
Yeah.
So you're going to hit with 2/3 of them. So 5 guys, 4 attacks each. So 20 attacks. You're going to hit with 2/3 of them. So what? 14 hits. You're going to be wounding on probably 3s if it's into normal stuff. That's fine then. So you're going to hit with what? That's 8 maybe. 8 wounds. They're going to save 2/3 of them. Say. So you're going to get maybe 2 wounds through.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. And I mean, I guess if you do survive through the enemy's turn, then you can shoot all your Infernal Pistols in combat. So, like, it's not... I don't think the double Infernal Pistol thing is bad. Like, I generally think it's okay. I just don't think it's something I'm going to run out and do. But, saying that, I keep saying that this is the season of wacky shit. Someone will probably go ahead and win a tournament with 3 squads of Vanguard veterans. Like a 10-man unit of Vanguard veterans that they can combat squad. So they'll run 2 10-man units, all with Infernal Pistols. They'll be super cheap.
You wait, somebody's going to win a tournament running Gabriel Seth.
Yeah, someone... Well, harsh.
Let's not go that far. That's not going to happen.
But someone will probably do that with Infernal Pistols and win an event. So, you know, you gotta... I think...
If you think it's fun and you think it's good, run it. Because there's no reason not to. What have you got to lose?
Well, exactly. And that's exactly what I did this week with Guilliman. I made a list with Guilliman. I thought it was going to be just a fun list to play with Guilliman, and I ran it and was like, wow, this is actually... This was hella fun list.
Did you have more fun running that than you would have done running what you think is probably the official most competitive meta list?
Yeah, because I think, full disclaimer here, I know Blood Angels did really badly in the Meta Watch article this week, like 41%, and I know that like what we said is probably true. Like a lot of Blood Angels players were still running Nephilim lists, and Nephilim lists probably don't work very well. So assuming that, let's say 5% of losses were attributed to that, so you say like Blood Angels were a 46% win rate rather than, what did we get, 41? That's still fucking low. That's still one of the lowest in all the factions. So like, full disclaimer, I've gone to a lot of events over the last year where I'm running like Blood Angels when we have like a really shitty win rate, and it's really frustrating to go to events when you have a shitty win rate, right? Because you sort of you're at the event and you kind of know like you're going to have to play out of your mind if you want to win this event, and you're probably going to need some luck with the dice as well. And I generally hate going to events where I'm relying on dice rolls and or I mean, I can play pretty good most of the time, right? But I hate thinking to myself like, hey, I'm into a matchup where I just know this is a terrible matchup for me. The only way I'm winning this against a confident player is if I get lucky with my dice, right? So like, full disclaimer, if I hadn't found that Guilliman list, I'm seriously thinking Black Templars for my next tournament, because you look at the Black Templars, they're like the second highest Marines after I think Iron Hands and Dark Angels are first and second, right? And then it's BTs. So I think BTs are probably totally competitive. I have BTs. The way that they are competitive is Redemptors, which I have 3 of. So like, full disclaimer is like, my next tournament I could easily be running BTs. Do I want to run BTs? Not really, because I'm a Blood Angels player. So if I could find a cool ass Blood Angels list that no one else is running, that includes Guilliman, and is really fun and no one knows how to play it because no one else is running it, and I can make it work, that's what I want to run, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that'd be wicked fun.
I would much rather do that.
It's about having fun at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And if you're not having fun because you're turning up at tournaments, you're getting smashed, and you feel that you're getting smashed not because you're a bad player, but because you've got you can't possibly win, then you're not going to want to do it anymore, and you're going to give it up. So it's about, I know Mark always says it, and he wants to turn it into our catchphrase about finding the fun.
Exactly, find your fun. Yeah, it is a good catchphrase to have, Mark.
And if that's how you have your fun, then go nuts, and nobody can take that away from you. People will try because, that's not the right way of doing it. And the internet is full of tossers telling you that your way is the wrong way to play your game. But it's not, because it's your game, not their game. They can play their game however the fuck they want.
Yeah, that's very true. The amount of people that told me that I don't know, like, when the channel was much smaller, the amount of people told me I don't know what I'm doing with Blood Angels by taking a Whirlwind, or they don't know what I'm doing by taking people, I think there was a comment that was like, if you're taking Dreadnoughts, you shouldn't even be a Blood Angels player. And I was like, well, I've been a Blood Angels player for like 15 years, and back in the day, Dreadnoughts were super cool for Blood Angels.
We got the most Dreadnoughts.
We've got 3 unique Dreadnoughts, so how dare you tell me I can't be a Blood Angels player and take Dreadnoughts? Like,
we're a Codex chapter. We're famous for our love of fast-moving things, but also the fact that we live really long and like Dreadnoughts. We have tanks. We have whole tank companies. You know, you're a Blood Angels player if you paint them red and you like Twilight fanfiction.
I've never seen Twilight, just saying.
I read the book when I was going through. I did, and I saw the movies. I was going through a phase as a young man where when I was a teenager, really, old teenager, I think, but well, I wouldn't criticise something unless I fully understood it, because I felt that's not fair. You can't, and everyone was loving Twilight, so I went out of my way to read all of the books properly, cover to cover.
and then take the piss out of them. Because then I can be like really specific of like, well, the reason it's shit is because this was written by a juvenile. You know, the grammar is appalling. The spelling is all over the show. What does that even mean? This is self-insert fan fiction. You know, but I'd read it properly before I did it. Now I just fire from the hip and.
Let's don't say. At least you're informed.
Oh dear.
Oh. I can't believe I'm painting Baal Predators. I really can't believe it.
I'm excited to see it fully painted. I can't see your stream. I can't see your chat if anybody's saying anything. I can't see you or what you're painting. So I'm going to find this out later on when I flick over to it and have a nose.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing that exciting. And just slapping base colours on 2 Baal Predators. One that's metal and one that's plastic. And both of them are like 15 years old.
All I'm doing is slowly painting this Blood Bowl Wilhelm Scheney and making a bit of a hash of the non-metallics.
So is it heresy to separate hobby painting projects from GT games? I mean,
no?
I don't think so. I mean, like, some of the best players in the world jump from army to army, right? Like, I can't imagine we'll see Jack Harpster playing Blood Angels in the next edition if we are suddenly on a 40% win rate, right?
Yeah. Jack Harpster will play anything that he thinks is good.
I think people think it would be heresy for me to do it because I have the Blood Angels Commander channel. But I mean, I'll primarily...
not being funny, you do have the name of the channel is Blood Angels Commander. It's not like Art of War, which implies, I don't know, maybe some sort of Sun Tzu teachings. But
yeah,
it is pretty heretical for the Blood Angels Commander to be commanding not Blood Angels.
I mean, I've always had the... I mean, I've got a 1,000 Sun detachment behind me. I just...
Are you ever going to get it out of the box, let alone paint it?
One day, give me time. I got 2 kids, man. I only get like 4 hours a week to hobby.
Well, you've had that army now for what, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, but I've had the kids for like longer. I mean, at some point, I assume the kid will not want to spend the whole day with me playing restaurants or something, and then I'll be able to paint of a Saturday afternoon, and it will be glorious.
I've got Araman sitting behind me that I've done a value sketch on, but I've not got any further than that with.
Cool.
Because someone made the pun when we hit 1,000 subs that I should do 1,000 Suns army.
Oh yeah, that was DTM, was it not?
No, that was Chris.
Oh
yeah,
right, okay.
Chris. And that seemed like such a good idea. I wanted to do it. So because I've got the 1,000 Suns Christmas Battle Force box. You know, the one with Magnus in it?
I do know that one. It was pretty cool, actually. I almost bought it, but I just have too many Blood Angels that are on the back burner to start another army at the moment. And I also have a lot of Imperial Star Wars Legion, that I really do actually want to finish or give a good start to at some point. I did some of it over the Christmas holidays on stream, I'll show the people that are watching right now. I put it all inside this Quality Street box, but I've done nothing with it since I sprayed it over Christmas. But I made made these like tom-toms for my rebel forces. I get 2 tom-toms. I got like a squad of like the rebels that defended like Hoth from the Empire Strikes Back, and I got this little turret thing. And then I squad of Mandalorians here as well. These guys go in flight stands. Flight stands aren't in the box, but like I don't know. So I've got like. I can't buy any more 40k while I have, I don't know, like 5,000 points of Blood Angels unpainted, along with like a whole Star Wars Legion army that hasn't even got base coats or anything on it. So one day I will start my 1,000 Suns, but they're not much better than Blood Angels right now, says Sinks. Yeah, I know they're not.
They're not. I haven't noticed, to be honest. They were pretty good in Armour of Contempt, because Armour of Contempt synergized so strongly with all his dust.
With all his dust, yeah. There was another question there that someone asked me. I've lost it. It was something to do with It was something to do with being heretical about what I'm painting or what I'm playing. On Wednesday night when I was playing Guilliman, like I got a lot of negative comments from people. Like, well, maybe not like 5, which is a lot, I suppose, because normally people just don't.
Well, normally you don't get any, do you? So.
Yeah, I mean, I get one guy every 6 months, so like 5 in like one stream of like, why the hell are you including Guilliman, or why don't you just paint your army blue, or that's not very Blood Angels, and it was like,
I'll do one.
That's why I like her catchphrase on our podcast channel, which is just find the fun. Like, you do you, don't let other people tell you what to do.
If you're having fun, then fine. It's a bit different if someone's saying, right, well, how can I get a better win rate? Well, then maybe you're going to look at what's arguably more competitive, or maybe different styles of playing, because there are some styles of playing that are going to work better than others. I know that my kind of approach of building very balanced armies isn't going to win me any tournaments, because you look at the tournament winning lists and they're all massive skew lists, and they win because there's some great general shit, but a lot of it also is you've got the right skew for the matchups that you've received.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that's why I think they should do a season where they limit, like, they change the rule of 3 to the rule of 2, or even the rule of 1 for one season. Just, I know, like, it might not be popular with people, but I was like, it would really flip the sort of like meta chasing monster which is what we have at the moment on its head, I guess.
Yeah. At the moment, you find whatever's the most broken or the most undercosted unit, and then you bring 3 of them, and then the next unit you bring is whatever the second most broken or undercosted unit is, and you bring 3 of them, and you rinse and repeat more or less till you've filled your army up.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. Like, I am fine with it, but I think at some point it would be cool to flip that on its head, right? But I mean, I'm no. I don't want that job to be the GW balancer. I mean, that guy must have. I mean, there's a bunch of them.
Shit job, hasn't he?
I was going to say they can't do nothing right? That's the sort of job where like there's nothing they can do that is right. Everybody's going to have their opinion.
Terrible place to work.
Do you know when it's like me at the moment, right? With my broken arm, I haven't been able to drive in like 10 weeks, and like normally when me and my wife are out, I like to drive. I just enjoy driving, whereas she doesn't really enjoy driving, and she drives because she has to. And see, when I'm sitting in the passenger seat, like all the time, I just have to sit there and bite my tongue because I'm just like judging, and I'm just like, I am not a good passenger in the car. Like I've got my opinions, and it's just the same. I just think it's like the same thing. Like, yeah. But if you don't have anything nice to say, don't open your mouth. I guess. Yeah. I'm trying to teach my kid that, Tony, and it's like the hardest thing to make them understand. There's some things that like. We were playing a game on the PlayStation today, right? And I was like, and she's like, it's not working. And I was like, it's loading. And she's like, Daddy, what's loading? And I was like, I have no idea how to explain this as a concept that you will understand as a 3-year-old.
3-year-old or whatever.
And I was just like, I don't know how to explain it, Annabella. You just have to wait. It's just loading. Like, how do you explain loading? Like, it's...
But that whole kind of, if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say anything, is a really difficult thing for people to understand.
Yeah.
Even a lot of adults have never quite got the hang of that. That if you don't, just don't comment. Just don't say anything then. You don't like it, move on with your life.
Yeah.
You're under no obligation to have to say something, and nobody else is under any obligation to listen to whatever it is that you want to say about it. And yeah, this goes back to your Guilliman list earlier, and the people saying, why are you running blue? Well, if you don't like it, well, fuck off and watch something else then. We're not making you watch this, and we're not making you... We're not telling you you've got to do it.
I was going to say, I'm not forcing anyone to buy Guilliman. If you thought it was fun, then go out and buy Guilliman. I thought it was so much fun. Maybe I was too excited about it, but I was just... I don't know. I felt like I was quite excited about it.
Then you're probably the right amount of excitement.
Yeah.
Because you've been really down on the games lately, so in order to play one and have a lovely time, surely that's the best thing, isn't it? Because it is a game. It's not a job for us. We're not Art of War. We're not making our business by winning games. we win games as a fun thing to do, and we make our money off of our day jobs.
Yeah, that's true. I was a little bit bored of every single Blood Angels list in the meta being, like you said, 3 squads of Sandguard, 3 squads of Death Company. I didn't think it... And I mean, I can field those lists, dude, because I've bought a lot of Sandguard and a lot of Death Company over the time, but I just thought it was like... For me, part of the appeal of this game is making a list. Like, I never net list, right? Like, I enjoyed making that Guilliman list. Yes, I had some help to make it better, but, like, the idea of, like, hey, Guilliman's cool, can I make a list with him that's cool and competitive? Like, I enjoy doing that as much as I do playing the game, you know? And then tweaking that.
Yeah. And that's the fun of it. I enjoy it. I'll sit there and I'll make lists for fun. Can I make a list around this theme? Yeah, someone earlier on said shooting Blood Angels list, and that's the sort of challenge that I really get my teeth into. I want to build a list where the damage is coming from the guns and the melee's backing that up, rather than the other way around. Well, that's a fun thing to try and do. It might not win many games, but if you can build that list and then win a game with it, well then that'd be brilliant. That'd be a lot of fun. I think people lose sight of that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we all have our... They're like rose-tinted glasses for, like, we have our opinions and we judge our opinions. Like, you know, I don't know, for example, like, use that Infernal Pistol idea. I have it set in stone that I think Death Company with swords are better than Infernal Pistols. I don't really have a concrete reason, I just think Blood Angels do melee, so swords are surely better. You know, but I guess... Yeah, sometimes you just have to break your stereotypes.
If it does, then go nuts, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, for me, I would be thinking, if I'm building a shooting list, I think I'd use a different platform to build my shooting list off of than Vanguard Veterans. I mean, yes, they're very fast, but so are a lot of things quite fast. And do you need fast when you're shooting if you've got a bit more range than 6 inches?
Yeah, that's true. I guess it's just the points right now where the free Infernal Pistols at the moment is skewing it. The thing is, the free Infernal Pistols is only going to last 1 season. So you could go out and build 20 Vanguard Veterans with Infernal Pistols, don't expect that to be there next season, and then next season it'll be like you should have probably just bought attack bikes, because attack bikes are still attack bikes, which are still relatively well costed, and they'll be good next season, right?
I was saying that to someone the other day when they were talking about building their Assault Terminators, and they're going to do all of them with Thunderhammers because they're free. It's like, well... They are free at the moment, but that doesn't mean they're going to be free in 6 months. And if the cost of the Thunderhammers goes up massively, and it means you can't use your Assault Terminators anymore, you're going to be pretty miffed.
Yeah, that's going to be sure. Yeah, no, I'm still... Even though Thunderhammers are free, the two squads of Terminators I used against Colin, I put a Lightning Claw guy into both squads. 2 Lightning Claw guys into both squads, sorry.
Yeah, I have 2. I have a unit of 5 with 2 Lightning Claws and 3 hammers.
I think that's the best way to run them. Make the Sergeant have a hammer, and if you really want more damage, Mastercraft the Sergeant's hammer. Because that'll give you a 4 damage hammer, and you'll get like 5 attacks from it, which will be
And then
fine.
If you're playing into, I don't know, a Gene Stealer Colts or something, they've got no real armour or nothing particularly tough, that you want the extra attacks from the Lightning Claws, then you can take the hits on the Thunderhammer guys first.
Yeah.
And if you're playing someone where your Lightning Claws are not going to be all that useful, well, take your hits on them.
Yeah, I like that. Glad I'm not the only person.
That's definitely how I think they work best. For me, but again, if you don't like that, then you don't have to run it. Do something else.
Maybe you like 10th edition coming out in June, asks Mark. I think they're pretty high odds.
I reckon they're pretty high. My money is on... announced a bit before, but coming out around June, July, in time for the school summer holidays in Britain.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe... I don't know if the odds on June particularly as a month are high, but I would say the odds on the summer are very high.
Because they tend to try and release it for then, and then you have the kind of August workshops and that in the stores. Because they have all like the... they do lots of getting started events and that for the kids when they're all out of school.
Makes sense.
So if you look back on the pattern of releases, most of them get released in time for the school summer holidays. So that's what I would put my money on. Now, I might be wrong. I'm speculating.
Dan Smiley
but
donated
I feel like it's
$5
a
via
good
Super Chat.
speculation.
Buy some
it's based on
T-bones for your
historical
BT's
evidence.
laughing face.
And a bit of
Stan just
logic.
gave me $5 super chat to buy some T-bone steaks for my Black Templars.
Yeah.
That's very nice of you, Stan. Thank you.
I bought myself a T-bone steak the other day.
Did you? Wildling wants to make the Sanguiner great again. I mean, I think we all want the Sanguiner to be great again. He was my warlord like all the way through 8th edition, and I do not think I've run him once in 9th.
He was my warlord at the end of 8th edition because he was really powerful at the end of 8th edition, wasn't he?
He was good when when his +1 attacks stacked with like shock assault and all that, and then they took that away for some reason. And I haven't really ran him since they took that away from him. But when he had that, I thought he was really good. Because I mean, who doesn't want more attacks as Blood Angels?
Yes, absolutely. He was he was well costed. He used to hit fairly hard, so he worked as a reasonable kind of beat stick character as well.
Oh, he says Tannhauser's bones. All right, the relic. I thought you meant T-bone steak, Stan. Okay, appreciate it.
Tannhauser's bones is a good relic, but I'd rather have a T-bone steak. And talking of, Taurus Steaks has just joined my chat. Hello, mate. Lovely to see you. We're having a steak chat. What would you prefer, Tannhauser's bones or a T-bone steak? I'd definitely go a steak every time, mate. If they were like, you can have this beautiful, lovely, perfect steak, but you can never use that relic again, even if that relic was a good one, I'd take it every time.
Oh, we know.
If someone said to you, here is the best possible kind of like rib of beef or T-bone steak to you, John, but you can never play your bike captain again. Would you take the steak?
No, because I'm not. I'm kind of indifferent on steak. I'm more a hamburger sort of person than a steak.
You're like the blue collar of a meat eater.
Yeah, no. People make fun of my choice, and I don't know. I'm really not like a fussy person when it comes to steaks and meats and stuff like that. I'm just I'm weird, man. I'm weird. Trust me, I'm weird.
My wife and I go on holidays just to go to a specific restaurant that we've seen somewhere on the internet or seen a review of or something like that or read about. And we'll travel across the country just to visit a restaurant for our holiday.
Oh, well, that's fine.
Because that's how much we care about food.
I mean, I care about food as well, but yeah, a steak just doesn't do it for me. I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. Superhero Landing says Old Reacts. Hello, Old Reacts. How you doing? I didn't realise it's midnight already.
Is it?
It is indeed.
I think we should probably start looking to round this off then in a moment. Or
time
we'll
flies when you're
both be
having
getting in
fun.
trouble. It is, yeah. We'll have to try and do another one.
Well, I mean, I'm here every Saturday night, so
I'm
every Saturday night.
not because I've got a social knife. It's because my wife would shoot me if I did it every Saturday night. Basically, we're watching Star Wars at the moment. You'll be glad to know.
Oh, on Disney Plus, you started it.
On Disney Plus, we've started watching Star Wars. We started it. She had never seen the prequel trilogy.
Okay.
So we started with the prequel trilogy. We've watched all three of them, and now we're rewatching the original and proper trilogy. And then we're going to stop and go back to the beginning because I couldn't give a shit about The Force Awakens onwards.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more.
But I do fancy watching Obi-Wan because I like Obi-Wan. I love the character. I love Ewan McGregor. That Andor looks pretty good to me because I did enjoy Rogue One. That's the one of the new films that I thought was really good.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed the Solo movie as well. And I
haven't seen that. I've heard it's not bad though.
Someone says don't watch Obi-Wan. My chat. I would say watch it. It's maybe not quite.
Did you enjoy it? Because I know you were so excited for it. You were really hyped when that.
I think that was the problem. Was people went in with too much hype.
Yeah. I'm worried that it's going to be one of those series that's called Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan's not really in it because he's quite an expensive actor.
He was in it. I think he. I mean, I feel like he was in every episode. I think for me, the more recent one has been Andor. Yeah, because I don't think anyone was expecting much from Andor, and Andor was really, really good in my opinion.
Yeah, Mark loves that. He's super recommending it. He keeps telling me I've got to watch Andor, which is why I'm going to go back and watch it. My chat have decided that they would take the Bite Captain over the steak as well, which sads me out because maybe I'm the only person who would take the steak over any rule or model. Maybe not model.
I will just make sure when you come to visit, we find a steakhouse that has TripAdvisor rating or something, and then if the rest of your trip is shit, you'll at least be like, well, I didn't like Scotland, but John did get me a good steak, so...
You've got to teach me how to drink whiskey, because I don't know how. I've never got into whiskey, so that's one of the things that you're going to teach me, and I love my food, so we'll go anywhere there's good food. I like a bit of haggis, actually.
Yeah, me too.
I quite like haggis, yeah.
Tarek says, wish me luck for his game today. Good luck, Tarek. Who are you playing?
Good luck, mate. I've got a couple here. The model I'm painting is Wilhelm Scheney, who is a Blood Bowl star player. I'm just having a bit of fun with him. And people here are kind of a bit meh on Obi-Wan as well.
Yeah, it's fun. I find it kind of funny that like Disney has done such an amazing job with Marvel. Before Marvel, like before Iron Man, like the first Robert Downey Jr. movie, I didn't know anything. Like I didn't read any of the comics. I didn't know anything about Marvel. Really.
Well, that was pre-Disney, wasn't it? That was all pre-Disney. Iron Man and that. It was. They bought in a bit later. Disney did.
Did they?
So Marvel Studios was bought out by Disney, but that was a few films in.
But I mean, they've been killing it. Everything they do is like gold dust on the Marvel universe, right? I can't remember the last time we watched a Marvel movie and went like, "That's a really bad movie." Have you seen any of the new ones? I think I've seen them all.
I haven't. I stopped watching around Endgame.
Okay, well, since the Endgame, there's been a Spider-Man movie and there's a Doctor Strange movie.
I saw Doctor Strange, but I didn't understand what was going on because I hadn't got Disney Plus or seen any of the stuff that went around it.
Okay.
But I didn't like Captain Marvel. I thought that was a bit rough.
But they've been killing it on Marvel, and then when it comes to Star Wars, it just feels like it's big hit or miss. I guess maybe the newer Marvels. I don't know. I noticed that Wakanda Forever appeared like this weekend, but we're in the middle of like another series, so we didn't start it yet.
I wasn't that sold on the first Black Panther film.
That was the one with. Was that the one with Andy Serkis was a baddie?
I don't know.
Was that?
I don't remember actually. I don't remember, to be honest. It sort of blurs together a little bit. But I remember watching it because I went to the cinema to see that one, and I just wasn't. I was like, oh, that was all right. Because it was so hyped up again.
Oh, okay. So my chat don't agree with me. They don't like the new Marvel stuff, I guess. Okay. Okay.
So they're more
apparently I know nothing. I just watch stuff and I just say yeah or I don't
know. Mark's gonna write some watch list for you apparently, and now he's upset because he's not in the chat. You could have been in the chat, Mark. Although he does point out that if he does, we'll be here all night.
Well, next time we stream, I mean, we're just in the Discord chat, so you easily can get into it.
You just click on the button. Yeah. It'll be a lot of fun. Right, I think it's probably time for me to start packing up. I don't know about you, John.
Yeah, let's do it.
Where I've got. I'll take a picture and I'll post it in the grotty content section of the chat. I'm all right with where my guys got to. I'm not sold on this super rough and ready non-metallics that I've done. But other than that, he's feeling not too bad, I think. He's coming along all right.
I'm painting the bottom of my Baal Predator right now, just so you know.
Well, that shows it's definitely time to go to bed then, because if you're wasting time doing that...
It was really uneven on the bottom, though, and I mean, if I picked it up and someone saw the bottom, I'd feel really ashamed about it being all uneven.
Why are they looking at the bottom of your tank?
I don't know.
Do you know what I've done? Do you know what's even worse? My Custodes tanks, because they're all hover tanks.
Yes.
I just glued them onto the flight stand so you can't see it.
Okay.
Just glued them onto the base.
Onto the base. Cool.
Job done.
Job done. Job's
Job
a good
done.
one. All right. Yeah, I'm going to be back tomorrow night to do the Army List show. That comes out on Sunday nights. We're live at like 9:45, somewhere between 9:45 and 10, depending on kids' bedtimes and stuff. So I'll be back tomorrow night to do the Army List show as always. Tony, thanks for hanging out tonight. It's been fun. It's always nice to get you on.
Yeah, it's always fun to have someone to talk to while you're doing your painting. Yeah, actually, we'll do it again.
Yeah, of course we will. Of course we will. And I guess you can tune in for me later this week to see 2 Baal Predators, 2 much more paint. 3 colours on these Baal Predators now, so technically battle ready. If you count what I've done as 3 colours.
Fair enough. And then, of course, you can also tune in on Thursday night when we've got John and Mark's video on their boarding action list, didn't you do?
Yeah, boarding actions is Thursday night on the Grotz channel as well, yeah. So
and more boarding actions if you've managed to get hold of the book. Or if, like John and Mark, you just scrounge the rules off of a friend.
We did do 4 boarding actions lists, so there's actually quite a bit of content around boarding
That's
actions,
cool.
yeah. Mark did most of the work.
Mark always does most of the work. That's the beauty of it. We can hang on his coattails.
Phoenix, I'd love to see your Arks of Omen list when it's ready, see if it's better than mine. I don't know if it can be better than mine just because mine includes 2 Baal Predators.
I can't believe that any of your boarding action lists are going to top my Mephiston list from last week.
Okay. I just can't believe I've got 2 Baal Predators in my competitive list at the moment. What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? Alright, enjoy your evening, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Cheers,
if you
guys.
enjoyed both the streams, please remember to hit the like buttons on them, and we will catch you next time.
Bye bye, everybody.
Alright, good night.
Yeah, me too. Catch you later, buddy.